by Riverside.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of LeadHERShip Bytes podcast, where we share the inspiring stories of women leaders across diverse backgrounds, industries, and career stages. Today, I am pleased to introduce you all to Dr. Carletta Hurt. Dr. Hurt is an award-winning educator with over 2 decades of experience in education and nonprofit work. She has a passion for connecting students to resources and has served in various leadership roles. She was named as the DC School Counselor of the Year in 2016 and has a youth development company called In the Loop Program of Success, which provides empowering programs for young people. She is also a producer under her company, ICAM Productions, supporting marginalized voices through her work with various film and television associations. Dr. Hurt, welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you, Cam. Thank you so much for having me.
So I am so excited to have you with us today. Why don't we start with having you share with the audience about how you started working in nonprofits?
So I actually started working in nonprofits when I was in high school. I was a Girl Scout, and so I started working with my troop leader at the time, Beatrice McNair, and she was our program director. And then from there, she went to the YWCA. And I started volunteering there. I was also in the Red Cross youth program. So I was on volunteer. I was a candy striper. So that kind of instilled in me this idea of service and giving back and helping those who need support. And all those experiences from the Girl Scouts to the YWCA to even Red Cross and being a candy striper kind of prepared me to step into leadership roles in nonprofit. But that's how I really got into the nonprofit space.
Wow, so high school has been the
Yeah.
journey. That's exciting. So you mentioned a passion for working with youth, and I'm very curious about that. Your youth development company, In the Loop Program of Success, has developed several signature programs. Can you share a little bit about those programs and the impact that they've made on the lives of young people so far?
Oh my God, Cam, it's crazy. I was just at an event. They talked about impact and how you don't really see what's happening until it happens. And honestly, in the Loop Program of Success, it was a newsletter. I was a school counselor. I was actually an intern as a school counselor at a prominent high school, very affluent. And I'm going to school, and my counterparts in these other schools, they don't have paper, they don't have resources. So I said, well, I'll share what I'm learning. So I created a newsletter. I was already doing it at the school. It was called In the Loop of Success. And graduated, did not go right into counseling. Hope my parents aren't listening. And but I like this newsletter, they're giving information out. And so 2 young ladies, they're twin sisters, were like, we should do a program. I'm like, okay, we'll do a summer program. What I decided was I didn't want to have a one-shot kind of program. I wanted long-term impact. And so we created a quarterly girls empowerment series. Every quarter, it was a different theme. Because what I noticed in my work as a teacher and as a school counselor was that students need ongoing support. They need resources that were going to be there on a regular basis and not just, hey, I'm going to pop in and then I won't see you for a year. And so the quarterly programs just took off into a life of its own. And we would have like 50 to 70 girls coming in for like a Saturday, 9 to 2. And it was theme-based. We had More Money, More Sense, all about financial literacy. We had Born to be a Diva. And Diva was more about how you present yourself. And then summer was our signature program. It was an empowerment series. So that's what it was, Girls Empowerment Seminar Series. It went from a newsletter being summer program to a quarterly workshop series.
Yeah.
We've touched at minimum 2,000 girls.
That is amazing.
My
Wow.
substantiated number, so don't.
Listen, that's the researcher in you. Disclaimer right there, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Good.
No,
Trust me.
that's okay. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yes, yes.
So you are an entrepreneur who has started and is running multiple businesses. There are women listening to this podcast right now who have a business idea and they don't feel confident to start? They don't know where to start. What advice would you give to them?
Listen, Cam, when I started this some decades ago, there was nothing. You talk about like you just out here in the wind, holding on to what you can to make it work. And there's so many resources. So my first thing to say to anyone is to start. Find something small and start. Give it away, talk about it. Also, let me just back up. There are so many free resources. The Small Business Association, your local business development resource, like MBDA has centers all over the country. Go there and say, hey, I want to do X. Also, if you went to college, you graduated, your career center. Those who they are paid to help you. Even if you're an alumni. I use all my alumni associations. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this. Hey, I need this. And if nothing else, they'll put you in contact with somebody else who might be an alumni. It's just like a sorority or fraternity. You're connected by a common thing. You all went to X school. So just leverage all of those resources and understand there's somebody willing to help you. Don't be afraid to talk about it also. What God has for you is for you. Ain't nobody take that from you. So if somebody took it, it wasn't yours. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome. And what would you say is the most difficult part of entrepreneurship, and how have you navigated that?
Trust, whether it's yourself or somebody else, is by far the most difficult part. Trusting yourself that you know what you're doing. Trusting yourself that you can do it. The second part is trusting others with your baby. First, that thing is close to you, and you are really careful about who you give that to. How to overcome that hurdle is faith that if God put me here, that I'm meant to be here. And also knowing that my journey isn't everybody else's journey. So I can't compare. I have to trust that if I want to do something, I have to believe that I have the ability, and whatever I don't have, I'm gonna find.
That is very good advice. And for those who are aspiring to leadership, women leaders in particular, are there, I love it, are there specific skills that you think they should be cultivating right now? And if so, what are those?
First, get you a coach. Like, invest in yourself. Acknowledge what you know to yourself and what you don't know. Look to find trusted individuals around you who can give you that insight in those spaces you don't know. And I'll say start with a place of wonder. Wonder is, you know what? Kim keeps doing X. I wonder why she keeps doing that. Let me ask her. Come with a sense of wonder and not certainty. And not only wonder, a true leader respects knowledge.
Good advice. So pivot a little bit and talk about your role as president of the DC chapter of the National Black MBA Association. What initiatives are you in the organization working on to support the professional development of Black business professionals?
So I was a member of the Atlanta chapter before I became the DC, and our biggest focus is economic wealth. How can we help our community build economic wealth? I would say for me as a chapter president, one thing we do a lot of our professional development looks at business owners. We just did a series with Barter Black around small business 101, like from marketing to PR, from legal. And some of our members have thriving businesses, whether it's hotel, restaurants, consulting companies. You have some who are just starting out. And so for us, and what I'm taking the charge in, it is really making strong partnerships. You know, even with Barter Black, I mentioned them, the Small Business Administration. We have a workshop series coming up with them. I do a lot of work around how can we connect them to organizations that are doing great work to complement what we're doing. Collaboration is the key. You know, my platform is CARE, connecting, advocacy, resource building, and then education from grade school to grad school. You know, we support young people in the area. When it comes to building leadership and entrepreneurs, that's our focus. And we do as much as we can. We have corporate partners doing coaching sessions. We did a AI virtual workshop series with one of our partners, and we're going to do a continuation of that next year. Staying on the edge of what's happening, but also being really in tune to sometimes you want to know, well, how can I get a business plan written? Or how can I apply for a grant? Where's the money available? How can I get leadership training? What opportunities are available? And I know the national organization is also working on starting an academy. So we were able to have members come through and get some of those skills we're talking about that you need to be a good leader.
That's awesome. Awesome. I love to hear about associations, whether it's chapter or national, that are doing great work. You know, it's a passion for me. And so, Dr. Hurt, how do you balance your roles as educator, producer, leader in various organizations. And what advice do you have for individuals who are looking to pursue multiple passions in their careers, which seems to be increasing more now, I think probably than ever before with the gig economy and
Right. Yeah. So thank you for the question. I have a saying called leap with me. I'm a leader, I'm an educator, an advocate, and a producer. And take that leap in any of those areas. We're going to have fun. We're going to make an impact and we're going to grow. And so what I've started to do is take vacations. I have a 7-year-old son. And I was really hesitant to travel with him. But I committed to, when we travel, I take my small MacBook Air, but I don't do work. I'm not working. And it has been the best thing ever. I love to travel. So my respite is travel, going new places. I'm just out in nature doing whatever. Has always been a happy place for me. But also I can think better. I come back with all these ideas and it's the kind of this new charge of energy. And then having a village is so important, or a tribe. I was at a White House event and somebody said, how do you do this? Just having 2 to 3 people you can depend on. So I think if we took the same kind of commitment to work that we take to rest, quality of life, much better. Longevity of life, much better. Health, much better.
Love that. I think we've touched on most of the areas of LEAP, but we haven't talked about producing you yet. So
Yeah.
as a producer, you work on the short documentary Clothed Minds, and that actually marked your directorial debut.
It did.
What inspired you to create the film, and what message were you hoping to convey with it?
Kim, that's a whole episode. So I will do my best to condense it. I'm Black, as you can tell. I'm a woman. I used to be a Black girl. And I consider myself a very in tune person. And I'm a school counselor. And I consider myself a very in tune counselor. And so I just knew I was hipping my girls, doing my girl thing. I went to this workshop called advocacy or something like that. I was like, oh, yes, I'm going to go learn how to have my girls advocate for themselves, speak up. Because my whole thing with my students is I am here to support you, but I need you to have a voice. I need you to be able to go to the teacher or whomever in a respectful way. So anyway, in this workshop series, and they're talking about this report called Dress Coded. The Women's Law Center did, and the girls started sharing about their experience with dress codes in DC schools. Now, at the time, I'm a counselor in middle school, and I was the unofficial uniform enforcer. And these girls were talking about how they feel bullied and belittled and embarrassed. I'm looking around like, ooh, they talking about me. Like how these uniform enforcement situations made them feel really bad, and how sometimes it wasn't because they didn't want to have a uniform on. It was financial. It was demographics. It was all these things. And I was like shrinking in the room, like, please, God, do not ask me what I do. Like, I do not want to participate in this conversation. And I remember leaving there, took the report. I had to get a copy of the report. And I said to myself in that moment, if I, as a Black woman from the South who grew up with the figure of a grown woman at the age of 15, missed this, then those who have no connection to my lived experience have no idea of what's happening. So I said, if I didn't know about it, and I think I'm connected, then I know they don't. What can I do? What vehicle can I create? And the doc came to me. And so I took about 6 months, because I'd never done a documentary before, figuring out stuff, talking to people. And I was blessed with an equipment grant. And the rest is history. I got the grant, and I looked for a director. And I remember going to a workshop, and this lady said that she really want to make this. She was a documentary festival, and how she said, I only directed because I couldn't find a director, and I want to make the movie. And I was like, can I direct? Can I do this? And then it's gonna happen. And I tell you, it's God. Everything fell into place. I got the equipment grant. I got a free venue, and my mentee knew 5 girls in the report, and she got me in contact with the girls, and I had 5 of the girls participate in the film. And then shout out to Lauren Evangelista, my editor. She's the second director, because COVID happened. We had one more shoot, and COVID happened, And I tell you, I go back to your instincts. I said, Carletta, go ahead and film. And we postponed it twice, Cam, twice. And I'm like, So when COVID came, we talking about fighting myself, going through this whole like beating myself up. My editor, bless her sweetheart, she said we still can make it happen, and she put it together. We did one shoot in November of 2020 outside in the cold because it was COVID, and we made it happen. And so, Closed Mind is so dear to me. I made it to help educators and policymakers understand that these dress code policies are not only hurting Black girls, they're pushing them into spaces and places they don't need to be. What happens is you don't wear your right shirt. You're in the principal's office. You miss a day of class. You get behind in your subject. Then it's a domino effect. And so I'm making it for policymakers who can see it, but also for Black girls to see I'm not by myself. Because one thing the girl said when I talked to them was they didn't realize how other girls in other places in DC had the same problems. They made an assumption that the girls on the other side of town didn't have those same issues. And it was a really awesome kind of building a bridge of commonality. And even the girl says in the film, they kind of like all together, like fighting for the same cause. And that's why I made it. Take this flat piece of literature and give it a voice. That's all I wanted to do. And I was truly surprised because the things they're experiencing, it wasn't my story. But I knew that I was the person inflicting some of this harm. How can I repair the harm? The film was that piece for me. And then talking to other Black women at film festivals, and they're sharing these stories, Cam, of how they went through like the same thing. It was about hair, though, versus the dress codes. And it really became this movement that I'm still working to build momentum around, screened it in different places, showed it at Trinity University. I showed it in Maryland to school counselors. I've done different speaking engagements. And we have a real tough conversation about how you showing up for Black girls. Because the conversation shifts from clothes. It's about the underlying foundation of the abuse that Black girls get in schools disguised as dress codes, disguised as hair
Wow.
codes.
Wow. Oh, where can people see the documentary?
So right now you can see the trailer on my website. So I tell you, you are a godsend to me also, because I was like teetering on the idea of trying to reinvigorate this tour, because the idea was to go to schools and communities, screen it, have a panel with Black girls about what's happening in their community, and bring in the policy people to say, listen to what they're saying, and then get an action plan. Say, we'll be back in 6 months to see what you did differently. Because the Black girls in DC did a report. They got a policy, and at the end of the film, it talks about how it was, I think, 2016. In 2017, DC Council made a policy you cannot suspend or do harsh punishment for dress code policy. So nothing can happen to you for dress codes. Like you can get reprimanded, but you can't miss class. You can't get out of school. You shouldn't be sent home. Like you either find another way to remediate the problem, but that could not be it. And so it was like, you can change policy, with the right action and the people behind you. So just keep checking the website. We'll have at least 2 stops posted by the end of the year, because people have been asking. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
It sounds like important work. And
man,
I love that. So let's reconnect again. So
okay.
we can do something on the podcast and elevate it even further, because
Do a
that is,
live broadcast, maybe.
I would definitely be open to that. That's such an important conversation.
Yeah.
And I know that there are a lot of people that will be interested in that as well. I'm curious about, in closing, any advice that you have around how you believe women leaders can help to lift and inspire other women now and into future generations.
Acknowledge, ask, and action. We don't do enough of acknowledging. Like, girl, I see you. Congratulations. Because we become invisible a lot.
Yeah.
We get questioned. We get ridiculed. You got a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
But nobody's acknowledging what you have done. Like, you took this space. You earned this position.
Mm-hmm.
Then ask, how can I help? What do you need? Like, that's the simple. And somebody say, just check on me. Just send me a note every now and then. See how I'm doing. And actually care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
that. What's that meme that's on that I always see floating around Instagram. Check on the strong friend, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's it. Acknowledge her position and respect that space. So acknowledge, ask, and then action. Like show up, like pull up, like at her event, at the meeting, at the whatever, in a space of positivity and praise. My dissertation work was called Black Girl Leadership Pipeline Limitations. I'm talking about the educational system, not the Black girls. So for Black women leaders, speak in a space of what they're doing that's positive, and then show up in an action space of supporting whatever that is. So acknowledgement is so important. That email, girl, I see you. Congratulations. Asking, what do you need from me? How can I support you? And then when they tell you what it is, do it. The action part is probably they're all important, because sometimes nobody really says, how can I help you? Or how are you doing? But again, come in the space of positivity. So I would say, you want to support a Black woman leader on every level. I don't care if she's a Sid Marshall at the Dallas Mavericks, to Kim Davis at NHL, to Nita Johnson at DC United, to Mayor Bowser in the mayor's office, to you leading your podcast, Cam Sanders, acknowledging the work you're doing, ask how you can help and mean it, and then show up in positivity and praise, period.
I love that. I love that. That is a perfect way to close out. Dr. Hurt, tell us how people can connect with you and follow your journey if they would like to do so.
I'm on IG and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my professional space. I love LinkedIn. But IG, LinkedIn. I'm also on X, if you still do X. And my website, CarlettaSHurt.com. It's just my name. And then also, if you go to my personal website, it's linked to all my other websites. And then intheloopprogram.com is my youth development company. On LinkedIn, make sure you put in the comments you heard me on this podcast, and I'll accept you, because I got a lot of people. We just hosted a national conference, so I'm really selective. But if you come through Cam, I know you good.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hurt, for joining us today. I'm very excited at all that you're doing. And if there is any way that we can support you as you gear up for your tour for the documentary, please let me know. And I wish you all the best. So
No, thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate you and the work you're doing. So I'm acknowledging you, Cam. Thank you so much for having the podcast and finding a Black woman like me to support. And however I can support you, promotions. I know for the tour, I will be calling you, girl, for our live broadcast.
Yeah.
And then just know I will be pulling up in positive and praise, period.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. And listeners, thank you again for taking time out of your day to tune in. I will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of LeadHERShip Bytes podcast. Thank you, everyone.